The Ohio Harness Horsemen's Association presents Freshman Focus, a look at 2-year-olds in training across the Buckeye State. Freshman Focus is presented by Eldorado Scioto Downs. Racing begins May 11th with the next generation July 1st. By Sugar Valley Farm. Looking for your next quality standard-bred racehorse? Look no further than Sugar Valley Farm in Delaware, Ohio. And by the Ohio State Veterinary Medical Center, caring down to a science. Now here's your host, Roger Houston.
Welcome to another edition of Freshman Focus. We've traveled to Washington, Pennsylvania for the training center for the Burke Brigade. After this message, we'll return with a sit-down interview with Mickey Burke.
Your animals provide unconditional love. When they hurt, you want the best care available to help them enjoy life again. The Ohio State Veterinary Medical Center is here for you and for them. From heart disease to cancer, diabetes to broken bones, and 24-hour emergency services, Ohio State's team of experts make a difference in the lives of animals and the family members who love them. The Ohio State Veterinary Medical Center.
Welcome back here to our sit-down interview with one of the trainers for the powerful Burke Brigade. Mickey Burke, it's been a ride for you and your family, and how do you keep up with everything?
You know, we're fortunate between, first of all, we're a family group. So, everybody knows what they got to do. Everybody has their jobs. Ronnie oversees everything. My mom does the billing with my sister. Dad's out here with me every day. And then we've got great assistants everywhere we have them. I mean, we're fortunate that we've been very lucky.
You mentioned your mother, Sylvia, and she does all the billing for 300 horses?
She finally agreed to let my one sister, who was retiring from her physical therapist job, she finally let her come in and start helping her. But up until a year and a half ago, she did everything on her own.
Your dad told me that when they built the new house here in Pennsylvania, that they made 2 rooms into one big room so she could have all of her computers there for the billing process.
She made 2 requests when they were building the house. She wanted a desk that basically went all the way around the room, and she wanted to be able to sit at the main desk in the middle and be able to look out the window. Yeah. That was all she wanted. I was like, she goes, I want my room. And the other thing is, so she just had a place that she didn't have to move things. I mean, she would, up until that point in the old house, she was working off the dining room table.
Yeah. Let's go back to the 50s. Your dad got involved in harness racing, and he told me the story that he paid $600 for a horse, jog cart, race bike, all the equipment. I even believe a trailer was thrown into that, and that's how he got started. But your dad actually rode jumpers, didn't he?
Yeah, Dad, when he started out riding, Ronnie Genovese, Dr. Ronnie Genovese, who's still a very close friend of the family, got my dad into riding, or his father got my dad into riding. My dad did that for years, and he rode with Falcones, and he rode at some of the bigger shows, and and then he was working for Burt Corfield, and then he talked to him about, Burt kept telling him, come on, try to do this, and he kept telling my dad kept telling Burt it was an old man's game and everything. And he went out and jogged a horse one time, and he was hooked. And that was the beginning. And, it was a hobby, until 1980. It was just a hobby for me. Him and Burt kept horses together. They'd have 3-4 horses, and it was just something fun for him to do.
In those days, it was all $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 claimers.
Those horses, yeah. I think the best one we had at the time was Love Son Hanover. And he was like a condition horse, and, they thought, the world of him now. We look back, and it's like amazing where we've gone from.
Was there ever a time where you thought, I got to do something else besides harness racing?
Yeah, I did it, Ronnie and I were here when my dad was starting in like 8th grade. And I got to the point where I needed to change. I needed to try something else in my life. And we were looking for an investment. And we got into this bagel shop with one of our horse racing partners, Sam Polano. And it just seemed a good fit for me to go out. And I went to Columbus, and I was there like 5-6 years at least, and did that. But even when I got out, I was still like, I'd come home on the weekends. I'd be in the training horses with Ronnie and Dad. I'd go to they'd ship horses to Scioto. I'd race them for them. I never got out completely. And and it's like everybody says, it doesn't leave your blood. And finally, we got to the point where we kept getting bigger, and the bagel shop wasn't doing what we thought it would do. And we got an opportunity to sell, an opportunity for me to come back full time. And we were like, okay, let's do this.
Okay. With 300 horses, and that's the figure we hear each year, is that about right?
Yeah, plus or minus 50.
$300 million in purses, it's just phenomenal. Another thing, trucks and trailers that you've got, it's unreal. How many?
It's close to 20 between all the facilities and everything. I mean, there's 2 sitting in Ohio. I probably got 6 here. Jersey's got 5. Pocono's got 2. I mean, they just add up and add up and add up.
You mentioned all those places. You've actually got horses at what? 2 places here in Pennsylvania, the training center at the Meadows, plus 4 other locations.
Yeah, we've got a stable in the Poconos. We have a stable in New Jersey at Gateway. We've been there for years and years. We've got a barn in Ohio at Virgil Morgan's facility. And then we've got horses right at Indiana, right at Hoosier Park.
Is it true that Ronnie enters all the horses?
Yeah, that's complete fact. It can't be done any other way. It's too hard to have 2 people, 3 people, whatever, doing entries, because like he moves horses like all the time. We'll get phone calls and be told, hey, so and so's going to Pocono, so and so's going to thing, and we're all we're checking the sheet or the computer every day, trying to see where horses are entered and stuff, and trying to stay ahead, and we even we get on his dashboard and look where he's got horses entered, so we can figure out what and know ahead, try to stay ahead of him. But it's not hard, it's not easy. And then you add Canada in and everything else, and it's complicated, but you couldn't do it any other way.
Yeah. Now, you're here at the training center just outside of Washington, PA, and you train horses today. Do you report each day from your location what took place to Ronnie, so he's up to date, or how do you handle that?
That's the nice thing is, like we've said, we've got great people, so he pretty much leaves us alone. If we call him, he knows there's something didn't go right, that we didn't like something, there was something wrong, whatever reason, we'll call him and say, hey, this didn't work right, or this horse didn't go right, and something like that, and that's how, but other than that, now he pretty much leaves us alone. But there's days too when he'll be here, he'll be at the barn in Meadows, he'll go to Jersey or go to Ohio, and just because he decides that he needs to be there to train certain horses on certain days.
Yeah. There's no way he probably, how do I want to say, no way that he sits behind all 300 at one time during the year, is it?
I'm going to tell you what, in a single year, he may not sit behind them all, but he don't miss many. Sooner or later, he'll catch. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of the cheaper horses and everything he might miss just because. Heck, sometimes we've bought him and sold him before he's ever physically seen them. We have him for a week, a month. And he just But if the horse is racing really good, he'll leave him alone. I mean, he's not saying that he needs to be that. But if something's not right, there's been times when he'll call and say, hey, I just sent 2 of our 2-year-olds from here today to go train at the Meadows because he wanted to go around the bigger track with them and he wanted to take them himself. So we sent him over in the trailer, went first trip here and sent him over in the trailer, and we were good.
Now, Ronnie, when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame at Goshen, brought up Mark Weaver. Mark Weaver has been a backbone of this operation, getting new horses and stuff. Tell us about that relationship.
Mark's amazing. It started off just they met each other in a 2-minute club and just started talking and hanging out, and then it became one horse here, and then it just developed into this thing. And Mark and Ronnie complement each other, and they're both extremely intelligent people, and they just work well together. And he gets what we need. He understands the kind of horses we want, and People call him and talk to him. He's the first line anymore on buying and selling horses. I mean, he does most of it. He'll talk to Ronnie, and people will call me, and I'll give him Mark's number and have him talk to Mark first, because Mark's got a good handle on what we need in horses, where in classes we're not filling and we need to add more horses or what. And he also has got a good idea of, like, when the time comes, like every spring we start getting rid of some horses because we got to bring all these babies up and we need stalls. And so we start moving the horses around this way and that way.
Overall, how many young horses, 2-year-olds, do you have in training?
I think the number's right at 80.
80?
We had 60. Yeah, we had 65 in Florida, and I had another 15 up here all winter. So yeah, we were in that ballpark.
Did you draw the short straw?
I always draw the short straw. What it is, it's hard for me to leave here. The farm, I'm too hands-on as part of it, and part of it is, and everybody's like, well, we can do this, we can do that. I said, it's hard for me to tell somebody what to do. Yeah. And for the winter, I mean, I'll go down here, I'll go down there, but for the most part, this is home.
You do a lot of traveling, don't you, to go to where they're racing?
Yeah, I just spent the last 2 weekends in Canada. I finished out the meet at Miami Valley. So yeah, I mean, I try to stay here, as much as I can, but then, when we got to travel, we got to go. And then, like this year, when we go to Delaware, I won't be home for 6 weeks once I leave for Delaware, because we'll go to Delaware, straight from Delaware to Lexington. We'll be in Lexington, and we have the Breeders' Crown in Indiana, so we base out of Lexington for Indiana. So I'll come. I might run home as far as that, but I'll be in the motorhome at those two places for almost 6 weeks.
Okay. Now, the picking of horses for your stable, you probably have a lot of homebred, so to speak, since you still have Sweet Lou.
Yeah, we're getting more. We've gotten more into it, but I mean, and we kept some mares and everything that we're breeding on our own. But there's still a lot of looking at other horses and buying into other different things and stuff. But we have a fair amount of homebred. I think last year was 15. I think was the number, and then you've got Knox Services have their own homebred, so we go through those and see what we're keeping and what not.
You've had a number of partners over the years: Knox Services, Jerry Silva, Larry Carr. Strong relationships. Oh
yeah. Knox Services is a little more recent, but like Larry Carr's been with us forever. Phil Calore, Jerry, Weaver Buscemi. It's been a building process, and it's a core group now. It's pretty much Ronnie's hesitant to bring anybody new in. There's a couple people here and there that've got a couple. But for the most part, it's, those guys on the babies.
There's been a connection with Derek Delaney over in Ireland, purchasing Foreclosure Inn and standing over there. And recently, you've been buying a large number of horses racing in Ireland and the British Isles to race here in the States.
Yeah, no, they do a great job of going through and picking out horses that they think would do well here, and working deals and everything with us, and to get them sent over. And overall, they've been very competitive horses, and for the money and everything, it's been very competitive for that, and it's good for them too, because it gives them an out for horses that once they get to such and such a level they can't make the money that we can make here. And then they come here, they don't have a lot of money on their cart because they don't race for that much. So for us, it works out good too. And then, we race them for a while and then keep them or sell them, and that works out. One year I want to go there. I swear to God I will go 1 year with you guys.
It's second week in August.
I know, that's the problem. It gets a little tight for us, but Ronnie and I have both said that. 1 year we want to go.
I wanted Chris Page to go to Ireland and drive over there 1 year, and Ronnie wouldn't let him go, said there was too many stake races here.
That's the problem. It's the same with us. It's hard for us to... I went to Europe last year for a cruise for the first time in September, and was just like... And the only reason I got away with it was because the Ohio finals were moved, and I was able to go when they were all going, and had a great time. But it's our life. I was just talking to somebody the other day, and I said it's not even a life. It's not even a lifestyle. It's a life. Your life is completely dominated by these things. And not that I complain about it. We're fortunate, but it is a complete. Your life is around these horses.
Well, Mickey, we want to thank you for sitting down and talking with us. And after this message coming up, we'll go into the barn and go to the 10 horses that are featured on this week's Freshman Focus.
Looking for your next quality standardbred racehorse? Look no further than Sugar Valley Farm in Delaware, Ohio. Sugar Valley's lineup of stallions includes World Champion Down by the Seaside, Lather Up, the fastest horse in harness racing history, Little Brown Jug Champion, Well Said, and the newest stallions to the Sugar Valley lineup, Adios Champion, Catch the Fire, and the son of Hambletonian champion Muscle Hill, Marseille. Sugar Valley Farm, the home of champions.
Racing is back at El Dorado Scioto Downs. Catch the excitement all summer long in the new grandstands. Live racing every Tuesday through Saturday nights. Tuesday and Wednesday post time is 3:15. Thursday through Saturday, the first race post time is 5:50. Mark your calendar to see the future stars with a $150,000 Next Generation on July 1st. Horse players earn points with the new Caesars Rewards program. El Dorado Scioto Downs. Live racing is back.
Welcome back to Freshman Focus. We're now in the barn and with Mickey and going to take a look at the 2-year-olds in training. This is Sidebar down by the seaside out of Real Fine by Better's Delight.
Yeah, he qualified yesterday, win his qualifier in 2-1 in the piece. We were really happy with him. I can't remember when we got to the half, but I think it was a relatively slow half. He's got a lot of talent. He's, the nice thing is, all the seasides, we're really lucky that they've been really great. Oh no, he's not a seaside.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is seaside. So yeah.
I noticed in the 10 that you gave us to take a look at that Ronnie selected, there are 7 down by the seasides.
We kind of like the breeding. We've done really well. When you figure in Act Fast, McSeaside, Sea Silk, and all the the ones we've had, we're pretty happy with the breeding. So we like working with them.
Forgot to ask you, is he a colt or a gelding?
He is. Ooh. He is a gelding.
A gelding. What determines that you geld them?
They do. They pretty much will give us an if they're coming along and a little sulky or a little this or just a little bit of an attitude and everything, we'll have a tendency to remove their testicles at that point. But it's just a feel at the time.
Some trainers, they automatically geld them all, but that you want to keep them a colt and then let them tell you if they need to be gelded.
We try to, yeah. I mean, some of them tell you pretty early, but yeah, because you just never know. I mean, we've been fortunate. You go back to Sweet Lou and All Bets Off, and they've come in to be pretty decent sires, and and we have more of those. Things that you're hesitant to cut, horses, and if you spend a lot of money on them, you think there's a possibility that you can breed them down the road. But by the same token, if they're not doing any good, you realize it's time for them to go. Perfect example. That's foaled again. That's what everybody always says about foaled. They say, why didn't you keep him a stud? Well, according to what we heard before we got him, he was gelded, but they said he'd never made $2 as a stud.
He qualified a winner in 201 and 3, a little slower than the other one that some of the others that you did. Is there a particular reason?
He paced home. That's all. All we worry about is getting them home. As long as they're pacing home and everything, we don't need records in qualifiers. It's just just as long as they're pacing home and finishing the miles good and everything. You get a mow and the race sets up and they're slow to the half and everything. It's okay.
Okay. This is Sidebar by Down by the Seaside. This is the 2-year-old colt Riptide by Down by the Seaside out of Sweet Chrome by Sweet Lou. Mickey, that breeding sounds awful familiar.
Yeah, that's he's a full brother to our good colt Act Fast. He's got the speed. He's just got a little bit of an attitude right now, and we're gonna try to work on that. But I mean, he's got a ton of talent. Qualified the other day, he was doing good, and then he just kind of got a little sideways on us. But he's got the speed. It's just going to be I think it's going to be just a little bit of a work of keeping everything going.
He won his qualifier in 58 and 4. He was entered yesterday. You scratched him. Is that what you mean by he kind of went sideways with you?
No, yesterday we we had so many going, and Ronnie was like, well, let's just push him the next week. So we just give him decisions at the last minute.
Do you want your horses usually to have 2 qualifiers under their belt?
That's what our normal plan is. We shoot for 2 good qualifiers. That's a nice thing having with Chris and Ronnie come down and think that we're not really concerned about winning qualifiers. We're just concerned how they finish and everything. We win them sometimes, that's okay, but the biggest thing is how they pace home.
This is the 2-year-old colt Riptide by Down by the Seaside. This is the gelding trotter Creatine Power by Creatine out of Love Remembers by DiGiambo. Qualified yesterday and finished 4th in his qualifier.
Yeah, tried in 3 and 4, but come a good last quarter in 30 and 1. We were having a little bit of issue with him tying up, and so we brought him out here at the farm where we can turn him out more, and he seems to be responding to it really well.
Do you try to turn the 2-year-olds out as much as you can?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're big on turning everything out as much as we can, but especially a horse that's got a tendency to tie up. It just seems like you get a better, they just seem to respond better to it. It seems to help.
You probably respond better if you get out of the house every once in a while.
Exactly, yeah, we all do.
I think a lot of people realize they're almost like humans.
There's definitely similarities. I mean, they have their quirks and their attitudes and and some of them they need to be out. They need to move. And we're fortunate in our Florida barn. We have like 30-some fields out there. They get out a lot. So getting up here, it makes it a little bit harder for them. And that's why I think some of them, you get the tendency like he was with tying up. So bring him out here and just change up his attitude, his work thing a little bit, and he seems like he's responding. I think we're going to be all right.
Pacers, trotters, of course, I'm sure you have more pacers than trotters, but you like to get a good trotter every once in a while, don't you?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I think they're more. I have more fun with the trotters and some. And like again, we've trained some really great ones in like Hannelore and Atlanta, and it's academic, and some of them. So they're a little more challenged, and just they make them a little more fun.
This is the gelding Creatine Power by Creatine. This is the filly pacer Seaside Diva by Down by the Seaside out of Real Diva by Real Desire.
Yeah, she's one of my personal favorites. We had her up here all winter with us, and just think she's got a whole lot of talent. I mean, she paced her last quarter yesterday, winning her qualifier in 27 and 1. Just a mile 58 in the piece, but she did everything the way she was supposed to, and finished them out on the top, and just was pacing away. And Chris was just sitting there. Chris absolutely loved her, so I'm really happy with her.
You actually went into the meadows and watched her race them.
Oh, I hauled. Yeah, no, we had 20 horses qualify yesterday. All hands were on deck for qualifiers yesterday.
What about her size?
She's not the biggest, but neither was Foiled. I don't worry. Heart and speed thing, size doesn't always have to be there. I don't get too concerned about smaller, bigger, I mean, there's tiny, don't get me wrong, but she's normal sized, but she's got great attitude and she loves what she does.
Now we're featuring 7 Down by the Seasides. Do you actually have more Down by the Seasides that we're not looking at?
Yeah, I think we do. I'd have to look at Ronnie and I were sitting there trying to figure it out yesterday when we were coming up with the list, and I think there are more. And there's some other Ohio breds. We got not a Hello Yankee, a Yankee that we stand. We got, and he was one of the ones we took to the meadows today and trained him, and so he's going to be all right. But it's good, it's hard to pick out 10 of them and say that these are the ones we want to talk about.
Has this one shown you she's going to be pretty dang good from the get-go?
Yeah, she's been always right there and pacing along, and anything we've asked her to do all the way down, she's just wanted to do it. I mean, she's got a great attitude and just a nice little filly to be around most of the time. She can be a little cantankerous, hooking up and stuff, but just they're babies.
This is the filly Seaside Diva by Down by the Seaside. This is the filly Seaside Story by Down by the Seaside out of Rose's Touch by the Ponderosa.
She's another nice one. She's trained down with Diva actually all year, and we qualified her last week. She was 4th, raced good. Gave her this week off. We'll qualify her again next week and head on. But so far so good. She, again, Seaside's got great attitudes.
Now, all these Ohio breds that we're looking for, they're eligible probably to the Sire Stakes, the Buckeye Stallion Series, and just everything in Ohio.
Yeah, everything in Ohio, and like Ronnie will, get him some of the later races, and like at Lexington and stuff, just to see if they can go with the bigger horses.
Seaside Story, any hidden talents or
no
problems?
No problems. Thank God. And just pretty much does pretty much does anything we ask her to do so far, and it's going to be an interesting year with these things.
Does the Burke stable break all their horses?
99% of them.
Yeah.
If we don't break them, we have a problem. And we had one this year that I sent it out to the Amish gentleman whose name is escaping me at the moment. But it's rare for us not to break our own horses.
Now, Nick Clegg made a statement on our last Freshman Focus. He's a one-man operation breaking. But I got a feeling you probably maybe be old school, having somebody riding along with a line maybe the first day or something.
That's about it. About the first day. Anymore, they're so different from in the years I've like I said, I hate to say it, like now the years we've been doing it. Ryan and I've talked about this. The breed has changed so much that break 'em is normally as easy as it can get. Now again, they're horses. So every now and then you got one. We had one this year. He wasn't having it and thing.
Do you think that's maybe a little to the farms that sell them at the sales, that they're a lot more broke now?
That's part of it for sure, but even some of the ones we get that are homebreds, they're not handled that much and everything, and they can be they're definitely tougher than the other ones, but they're still not terrible. I mean, like the one colt was, but he just had an attitude, and we just sent him out to them guys, and they can, they have different ways of doing it, and it works great for them. And he came in and he was so much better.
Is there a difference breaking a filly from a colt?
Not with us. We pretty much treat them all the same. When they go, most of the time you don't have a real big difference. I've had bad fillies, I've had bad colts, I've had good fillies, I've had good colts.
This is Seaside Story Down by the Seaside. This is the colt Banyan House by Down by the Seaside out of Pure Paradise by Mick Ardle, a winner yesterday in 2 minutes and 4/5.
Yeah, he paced his last quarter in 28-1. Chris drove him perfectly, and he just chirped to him, and he just paced right home. Chris loved him, said he couldn't have been any better. He's headed in the right direction, and we're just going to see how everything goes from here on out.
You got two of Ohio's best, Chris Page and Ronnie Wren Jr. What determines who drives who?
Ronnie, my brother. It's mostly Chris gets the first on the babies because he's more of doing the stake races. Because Ronnie drives for a couple other people and thing, but he comes in for qualifiers and helps us out because he drives all our horses here now, and it works out good that way for us.
Did Ronnie and Chris make trips to Florida?
Yes, yeah. Ronnie and Chris both went to Florida at different times. The one time I was in Florida was the same time Ronnie was there, so we were training together for a couple days. So it's great for us to have them come down and get their opinion. And Yanni comes down. Some of the other guys come down sometimes. David Miller I know was down too.
Their opinion is very valuable.
Oh, absolutely. Because we're looking at the horse every day. They're coming in from a completely new set of eyes, and know how we are and know how horses are and can see what's going on. And it definitely helps having somebody else look at things.
He's a playful son.
Yeah, you gotta just be a little careful where your hand is, otherwise you're gonna lose a finger. But he's not bad; he's just playful.
You gotta have a good grip on that halter.
Yeah, know where to put your hand, and have big hands.
This is the colt Banyan House by Down by the Seaside.
Proud.
This is the filly trotter. It's a girl's thing by What the Hill out of Boynia by Windsong Legacy.
Yeah, she's coming along. We qualified last week. I'm not positive. I think she might have made a skip. She's out of our own sire, our own one that we trained. And Ronnie likes her. He says she's got a lot of talent. We're just, she's not a big thing. She's not a thing, but he thinks she's got a lot of ability.
Equipment on horses. How do you start out with the equipment on them?
We're pretty basic. Trotters, we'll start them out with bell boots and bandages behind. and June colt bit to start. And then they start telling you what they need as you go. You know, some of them you'll start hitting a little bit. You'll put trotting boots instead of the bandages on, and sometimes you might add a heavier set of bell boots if they just need a little help.
So you add to the equipment, whether it be hoods, earplugs, and all that, depending on how they are.
Yeah, we don't put anything on just because every other horse wears it. I know there's some people that will put a head pull on every horse or a tendon boot on every horse, and my dad's comment to this years ago to me, and I never laughed so hard in my life, but he says, they're not Christmas trees. You don't have to hang everything on them.
What about trotting hobbles?
If they need them, we put them on. But until they need them, until they tell us they need them, we don't put them on.
And how do they tell you that they need them?
When they run too many times. when they just get to the point where you're just going, okay, this isn't working like this. Let's give them let's try the trotting hobbles and see if they get balances them enough. And you know, sometimes that's all they need. They just get out there and they go. And then sometimes they'll race their whole 2-year-old years trotting hobbles, and they'll come out their 3-year-old year, and we'll start our 3-year-olds without them again, and give them a chance to if they've matured and gotten bigger and stronger. And sometimes they go without them then.
A lot of people feel that if you can race them without the hobbles, they'll go a little faster than the hobbled trotter.
I kind of agree. No, you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to change that thing. If they're going to run without the hobbles, they're going faster with the hobbles. Yeah. So you know, as far as that goes, if you're equal, you're not going to put them on. So it's the thing. In our case, if they're on, it's because the horse needs them to go. We've tried everything else and it's not working.
If they're wearing them, sometimes maybe you'll take them off for the 3-year-old.
Oh, we do. Rose Run Yane this year. I started her out, and she's never had them on this year. But now the other filly, she trained all the way down. We didn't think we needed them, and then when she started going fast enough in the races, she needed them.
So I guess trotting hobbles are a confidence builder.
In some horses, absolutely. It just gives the balance, just a little bit more balance to them, and it just seems to help them.
This is the filly trotter. It's a Girl Thing by What the Hill. This is the gelding pacer down by the dance club, down by the seaside, out of Dancing Shadows K by Shadow Play.
Yeah, she's been, or he's, my apologies, has been a little behind. We was doing good well, and then something started bothering. We've been playing with it and trying to figure it out. And we think we finally got it down to where our foot's going to abscess. So we're kind of on a little bit of a holding pattern with him right now. But it trained pretty good the other day. You know, still is bugging him a little bit, but I think I would say he'll probably qualify next week.
When they lose time like that and you have to take a little, do they get back on the schedule pretty easy? Pretty
well at this point, yes.
Yeah.
Because they're so far along. I mean, he's been in fast enough and everything. It's not, and we're only losing a couple training trips. It's not like we're in the beginning where if you get a 2 weeks behind. Those horses are stepping down pretty quick in the beginning. So this now, not too big a deal.
Here at the training center, you got a half-mile track. What did you get your horses down to early this winter?
We had our babies here. We trained in some of them as fast as 2-3, last half in a minute.
Really?
Yeah, we have a good track here. We've been very fortunate. And this winter especially, we had a mild winter. So it wasn't that big a deal for us being up here as far as the weather and stuff.
Down in Florida, what did they go down there before shipping north?
I believe some of them were as low as 58.
58?
I believe so. But they have a 5/8 down there, red clay track. It's a whole different thing.
Early speed. Now that's what we're talking about. If they're training 58 down there in March or April.
Yeah.
Is that a big thing for the Burke stable?
It's not a necessity. It just, again, we're real big on them telling us what they want to do. We're not really pushing them really, really hard or anything. We're kind of letting them tell us what they want to go and everything. I mean, we have a schedule and we're trying to stay to that. But like when you're getting to that speeds, they're kind of, they're leading you more than you're leading them.
So you still let the horse tell you what to do?
To a degree, yeah.
This is the gelding Down by the Dance Club by Down by the Seaside. This is the trotting filly I'm Independent by Triumphant Caviar, the Can't Get Over You by Andover Hall.
Yeah, she winter qualifier yesterday, trotted her last quarter in 29 apiece, win by 4, and again, Chris loved her. just was sitting riding with her and just letting her trot her own mile at the end of it, and she just got the idea and just went on and finished and did well.
Now we noticed you had a little trouble catching her in the stall. Is that the Triumphant Caviar coming out in her?
It's just her. I don't know. I haven't dealt with a lot of the Triumphant Caviar, so I can't even comment on it. It's horses are horses. They all have their attitudes. They all have their own personalities, and some of them are gonna they're a little fussy getting caught. But then look at her now. I mean, she's standing here and she's as nice as she be. So now she's gonna be fussy because I just said something, huh?
2, 3, and 1. You said she did it easy.
Yep.
Will she qualify again next week? Or
more than likely, unless Ronnie's has a plan for something else. More than likely, we'll go next week or the week after.
Has the Burke stable had very many Triumphant Caviars?
Not that I can remember.
I can't remember any, really.
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean anything. If you ask Ronnie, he'll tell you the breeding on 4 of them probably.
Okay. This is the filly trotter I'm Independent by Triumphant Caviar. This is a gelding pacer, Midwind Beach Boy by Down by the Seaside out of American Major by American Ideal. The fastest of your qualifiers so far, 57-3.
Yeah, he was absolutely super. Got away 4th by 6, and Chris just let him sit back there and then put him in gear with our other horse, and the 2 of them paced home excellent. Come a good last quarter, and Chris again got off and was just absolutely pleased with him. He said anything he asked him to do, he did, and did it right.
Next generation coming up at El Dorado Scioto Downs. You got spots in those races?
Yes, yeah. We normally carry 1 in each division, but Ronnie's decision on who goes will be made the day the entries go in.
It all depends what they did the previous week, probably.
Previous week or that week training.
Yeah.
There have been weeks or years where we've gone literally in and trained them at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we make the entries at 10.
Do you have a feeling about the next generation? Do you like that early money stake-wise?
I think it's like everything else. I think anything that gets them noticed for the Ohio horses, I think is great. And it's a heck of a situation, and it's and it gives everybody a chance to showcase them, and I think it's a good thing.
Okay. This is the gelding pacer Midwind Beach Boy by Down by the Seaside. Well, that wraps up today's edition of Freshman Focus. We'd like to thank the Burke operation and Mickey Burke specifically for giving us some valuable time today for this edition of Freshman Focus. We'd also like to take this opportunity to thank all of the trainers that worked with us this year for editions of Freshman Focus.
This has been Freshman Focus, a look at 2-year-olds in training across the Buckeye State. Freshman Focus is presented by El Dorado Scioto Downs. Racing begins May 11th with the next generation July 1st. By Sugar Valley Farm. Looking for your next quality standard bred racehorse? Look no further than Sugar Valley Farm in Delaware, Ohio. And by the Ohio State Veterinary Medical Center, caring down to a science. Freshman Focus is a presentation of the Ohio Harness Horsemen's Association.